the Joy Business Report with me, Mamisi Nyamiche Thompson. In the headlines, government sets new dates to reach a deal with bilateral creditors and Eurobond holders on restructuring of external debts. Also, economist Dr. Patrick Isuming calls on government to be honest and transparent in dealing with the IMF team in Ghana, undertaking assessment of Ghana's performance under the $3 billion program. And it will be tough for financial institutions to increase lending to individuals and businesses in the coming days. We'll tell you why from a financial analyst. Now, the government is hoping to reach a deal with bilateral creditors on restructuring of their debts by mid-October. It is also projecting to finalize negotiations with Eurobond holders by December this year. George Refi has the rest of the story.
These are the proposed deadlines that Joy Business has picked up from persons working on the restructuring of the external debts. Government is bent on reaching a deal on all these papers after finalizing negotiations on the domestic direction program yesterday, with the reopening of the offer for those that didn't participate in the one that closed in February this year. According to the Ministry of Finance, it got almost 4 billion Ghana cedis worth of bonds that were tendered for the program. This should mean that it has now secured about 90% participation when it comes to the domestic direction program. But for the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, government has made some good progress when it comes to restructuring of the external papers.
Initial terms that I have seen suggest that it will be successful and our debt service payments will be significantly lower at the end of the discussions.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has told Joy Business that closing the chapter on the debt restructuring program should pave the way for government to focus on other initiatives aimed at stabilizing the economy.
And that was George Riafe with that report. As the engagement with the International Monetary Fund team in Ghana continues, economist Dr. Patrick Isuming has advised government to be honest and present all relevant data for assessment of the program. The IMF team currently in Ghana is examining the country's performance to pave way for the release of the second tranche of funding under the program. Dr. Isuming is of the view that Ghana will be in a better position if government is transparent with its dealings with the IMF.
Honesty and being transparent with the information. I mean, it doesn't serve us if we try to hide any relevant information. I think we should put all the data on the table and then be honest where we are facing difficulties so that we address them and not try to hide anything.
You have thoughts of economist Dr. Patrick Isuming. Now, financial analyst Christian Techijan has indicated that it will be tough for financial institutions to increase lending to customers and businesses in the coming days. This comes after the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana maintained the policy rate at 30% after reviewing developments in the economy. But Mr. Techijan says this would still make it difficult for financial institutions to lend to customers.
It's been difficult. So far as the central bank is trying to tame inflation, we will have to grapple with it. Unfortunately, it becomes very difficult for especially the financial institutions to also avail credit to their customers, because when monetary policy rate is that high, it means the lending rates are also going to get high. Once lending rates get high, then it becomes difficult, and the risk of default actually becomes higher. And so it's a very difficult patch, especially for the financial institutions, whether to give credit or not, like I've already indicated.
Christian Techijan is a financial analyst. Now, finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, has supported assertions that there is an element of double counting in mobile money transactions, which is accounting for the huge values recorded. Total mobile money transactions in the first 8 months hit a record of 1.190 trillion cedis, according to the Bank of Ghana. Speaking to Joy Business, Dr. Amwa called for proper audit of the electronic levy structure.
Now, if you are having issues about double counting, as you have indicated, then it calls for we auditing the entire e-levy architecture to know exactly what is it that is happening that is making us not to be able to achieve a near targeted amount as one would have anticipated. But without a proper audit of the entire e-levy architecture to identify what may be contributing to the abysmal performance of the E-levy in terms of how much you are expecting, it will be difficult for one to just leave it the way it is.
You heard finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa. The Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority is set to host a maiden conference on driver and vehicle innovation. Known as the International Driver and Vehicle Innovation Conference, the program is aimed at getting policymakers on the African continent prepared for the ongoing innovations in the automobile industry. This will also enable the authority set new regulations. Chief Executive of the DVLA, Kwesi Ajiman-Buzia, has been explaining to journalists about the upcoming event in October under the theme, The Future of Road Transport.
The essence of the conference is to make sure we are anticipating what is coming and preparing for it. Again, we cannot be linear anymore. When you have cars that are flying, someone said there'll be no need for you to own vehicles anymore, because everything that you want to do with the vehicle, you can do it on demand through an application. So these are things that are happening. We need to make sure that we are also prepared for it. So the essence of the conference, the maiden conference, the hope is that we'll do this every year. So as it's changing, we get to advise ourselves, the policymakers, the users, the road users, and the whole 9 yards.
And the government will borrow about 2.57 billion cedis this week to refinance maturing bills worth 2.41 billion cedis. This is coming after the country's debt went up by about 6.3 billion cedis between April and June 2023 to reach 575.5 billion cedis. With improved liquidity and lower refinancing pressure, analysts expect the Treasury to achieve the auction target. Now, another side hustle is turning into a promising business, making cosmetics products a hobby for Deborah Esel Anani until she lost a job when the COVID-19 pandemic struck. Now she's thankful she had something to do on the side. The Joy Business Van visits her startup, Macken's Cosmetics, to hear her story.
Nothing fancy, nothing big. Deborah's production center is her kitchen, but that is where she produces her cosmetics, which could easily compete with very known brands. It was not originally intended to be a full-time business. She used to make products way back in school. It was more of a hobby.
On campus, I was producing for friends for free. People come to you with their skin issues. I do something for them, it works. So that is how I started getting orders for the product.
Deborah kept at it even after school. Then the unfortunate happened. The COVID-19 pandemic struck. She lost her job.
It was very difficult landing any decent job. The country was in lockdown. We were supposed to be indoors. Nothing was moving. So I had no option but to leverage on the little orders I was getting and the referrals that kept increasing. So that is how I started McAdan's Cosmetics.
You can catch the full edition of McAdan's story on the Joy Business Van at 1 p.m. on Joy Business Report and at 5 p.m. on Business Live on the Joy News channel. Now to the currency market. The cedi is going for 11 cedis, 55 pesos against the US dollar on the Forex market. And it is selling at 14 cedis, 60 pesos to the pound and trading at 12 cedis, 40 pesos to the euro. On the commodities market, crude oil went up marginally to open trading at $94 a barrel. Gold lost more than $2 and is selling at $1,897 an ounce, and cocoa is selling at $3,500 a ton after going down by $4. And that's it for the Joy Business Report. I am Mamisi Nyamiche Thompson.
Cheers.